Welcome to the Spring 2020 Exploring Pardot Product Features, Tiers, and Benefits. We'll be exploring the different features of Pardot and understanding the benefit to sales and marketing teams. My name is Ken Stouffer. I'm a project manager by trade with over 30 years of small business ownership and project management experience. And here at Cypress Learning Solutions, I handle project management, scoping, and resource alignment. We are a registered Salesforce partner comprised of a team of Salesforce and Pardot nerds who spend all day, every day in the tools, helping folks get their organization set up and optimized for success. Some of you may already be working with us or were introduced to us through a partner conversation, so welcome to all of you. And for those of you we haven't interacted with yet, it's great to have you here with us as well. We're glad you could all join us today and look forward to your participation in this and upcoming webinars. We do intend for this to be instructional as well as interactive, so along the way, please be sure to pop in your questions in the Q&A window. We'll be monitoring the feed throughout the workshop and selecting a few questions to answer towards the end of the presentation. So with that, I will turn over the floor to Brandon Walton, who will be talking us through the presentation today and answering your technical questions at the end.
Thanks, Ken, and welcome everybody. We're happy that you have taken the time out of your busy day to join us for this webinar workshop. My name is Brandon Walton, Pardot Salesforce consultant, and what I'm going to be doing today is just walking you through setting up a campaign. I'm going to put my marketer hat on, and we're going to go through and set up a campaign together. As we set up that campaign, I'm going to be overviewing the features and tools inside of Pardot that are available to us in order for us to do that. So just jumping right into it here, I've got Pardot pulled up. Now this is going to be a Pardot developer org, so there are going to be certain features that have been disabled because things like emailing has been turned off. But if anything, it should give us a very good idea about what's available and what's capable to do inside of Pardot. So first things first, what we have installed is what's called the Pardot Lightning app, which means I can go to my app launcher here inside of Salesforce, and I can navigate directly to Pardot and have all of my Pardot components be pulled directly up inside of our Lightning app here. There's also this Pardot Classic version. So for my folks who are still maybe using Salesforce Classic, we can install this Classic version. What it's doing is iframing Pardot into that view. The third way that some folks will use Pardot is going directly to pardot.com, logging in at pardot.com, and then accessing the tool there. But today we're going to be using this Pardot Lightning app. It's really the direction that the Pardot engineering team wants folks to go, because it really is all about bringing more of Pardot into Salesforce, really having that seamless interaction and seamless capabilities. So first thing first is you'll see all of our stuff inside of Pardot has been built on top of what's called the Lightning Design System. That means it's going to look just like Salesforce. I like this because I don't have to get familiar with different interfaces. What we see here is just a snapshot. So this is where I'm logging into just to see as a marketer how many prospects have been adding, who's being converted. So a conversion is a lead becoming converted into a contact inside of Salesforce. How many opportunities have been created. So inside of our development org, when a lead is converted into a contact, we're having our people automatically create an opportunity as part of that automation process. So the opportunity gets created as well. Down below here is our marketing calendar. So this gives us a schedule of the marketing events that we have upcoming. And then down below gives us some insight, again, at a dashboard, a high-level view, identified companies. So we have a JavaScript, a tracking script that's going to be living on our websites and our web apps. And if someone from Salesforce or Microsoft or Google, for example, is poking around on one of our assets, we'll be able to see that those companies are looking at our sites. Active prospects for review down here. These are just folks who have came in through one of our funnels and no one's followed up with yet. So this is giving us a high-level view of some folks that might be good to send over to a salesperson. You can see a familiar name here, Ken Stouffer. All of these are available across all levels of Pardot other than this marketing calendar. So this marketing calendar is a nice feature. It's an upgrade feature available with one of the Plus or Advanced packages. So as a marketer, here's where I'm getting started. I'm looking into things right now. For my campaign, to get launched on a campaign, the first thing that I want to do is understand my segment. So I'm going to build out a segment. Inside of Pardot, the first thing that we do when we click on this Prospects tab is it's showing us our Pardot prospects. Now for clarification, because this question does come up a lot, what is a prospect? One of the neat things that Pardot does is it's going to map what is a prospect inside of Pardot. So if we think of Pardot as an email database, an email marketing database, our email marketing database, that is Pardot, is going to be mapped to leads and contacts inside of Salesforce. So the idea is you have some forms out there, you have some lead generation activity stuff that you're doing, maybe a trade show. Most of us probably aren't doing trade shows right now, but you have leads coming into a funnel. Those are going to be automatically synced with Pardot. And then down the road, let's say you have some of these leads that end up converting into contacts, or you've been using Salesforce for a while. Inside of Salesforce, you already have some contacts. Those will also be synced up inside of Pardot, and they all roll up into one flat object called a prospect. And that just gives us the ability to email specific prospects inside of Pardot. It's a question that comes up quite a bit, and the answer is Pardot will map to leads and contacts. So from this view, you can see it looks very familiar to any of your Salesforce lead views. What Pardot gives us out of the box is the ability to see from this list who has been active. Again, demo accounts, not a whole lot going on inside of here. Who needs to be reviewed, so who's been active and not yet followed up with. And then important for us is also mailable prospects. So mailable prospects means that they've still got a good email and they have not opted out of anything. From this page here, there's an import wizard. We'll just take a look at this really quickly. So you can drag and drop or click and upload a file of new prospects into Pardot. So if you're just getting started, or again, you're taking that list of people from a trade show, you can load them in here, associate them to a campaign, add them to a list. Here's a little example of what that might look like down below. So you can see all the folks that have been uploaded on this. Now, if you were hoping to join this webinar and get some free leads, I'm sorry, this is all dummy data. So no need to take any screenshots of this. This is just all sample data that we've generated. But the idea is you can run these imports and then quickly add your Pardot prospects. One of the cool things about these imports here as well is when you're running those imports, it'll either map on an email address. So if you're uploading a list of 1,000 people and some of those emails already exist inside of your Salesforce, Pardot will look into Salesforce and find the matches instead of creating duplication. So that's one of the things that comes up quite often, and it's really nice that Pardot does have that sync with Salesforce to be able to automatically find those matches for us. And again, this functionality, this capability that we're talking about here is just Pardot standard functionality. Whether you're going growth, plus, or advanced, you're going to get this across the board. So going down, what this Pardot Lightning app does is this actually is feeding in our leads list view and our contact list view. So this is just actually our Salesforce view. So if you're using a standard sales app inside of Salesforce, this is going to be the same thing that you're doing when you're looking at leads there, and the same thing with contacts. So that's all built into this Pardot app to allow you to see in a very nice way, all right, who are all of our Pardot prospects? Take a look at our leads, take a look at our contacts. The next one down here is our visitors. Again, demo account, so we don't really have an active website going on right now, but the Pardot tracking code works very similar to a Google Analytics tracking code. But one of the things that it does in addition that's really nice is when it's tracking the page views, if we know who those people are, like this guy looks familiar, we can actually click into here and see the specific pages that this prospect, Brandon Walton, has looked at. So you can see on March 9th, Brandon Walton was on here for over 55 minutes, and we can go and see all the pages that Brandon went to. One of the other things that's neat that we can do, and we'll discuss as we go through this presentation, is we can set up what are called page actions. So we can have automations happen. So if Brandon goes and clicks specifically on this spring special page, we can have an automation occur that says, let's notify a salesperson. So we're going to be leveraging some of these features and tools that we have to build out a campaign inside of Pardot today. And we're going to leverage some of the automation features that we've had a lot of success with and show you guys how it's done. This tracking tool, just as I move forward and move through all of the features that we're covering today, is going to be available on all levels of Pardot, regardless if you're growth, plus, or advanced. So you'll have access to this across the board. Now, as we're building out our lists of people and folks that we want to market to, where marketing tools start, and regardless of whatever marketing tool that you're using, it all starts with lists. Specifically, when we're talking about a marketing automation platform, if we want to be able to automate communications and do it well, we need to be able to segment who's going to receive what kind of messaging. Now, for everyone out there, there might be some different specifics around how you're going to be segmenting data. For ours, what we've done for the purpose of this demonstration is we have a few lists that we started. And what we're really going to be focusing on here is what are called dynamic lists. So you can see there's different list types available inside of Pardot. Public list means it's going to be a list that you're going to allow people, on public facing websites, to opt in and opt out of. So when you think of a public list, that might look like, opt into our tips and tricks, opt into our newsletter, opt into our monthly webinar with our CEO. So this would be something that you're going to make available for people to go to a site, go to a page, say, yeah, I want that information, and opt themselves into. That's what a public list is inside of Pardot. CRM Visible is pretty cool. What CRM Visible does, and I'll show you that real quick. So right now, this is a CRM record, is we've got this section over here in our Pardot tab inside of Salesforce, where we're actually going to allow our salespeople to add folks to specific lists. So if a list is CRM Visible, what we can actually do is make those available to our Salesforce users. So if I'm Brandon and I just get off the phone with Brandon, I can say, you know what, Brandon was really interested in that spring special. So I'm going to go ahead and add Brandon to that list. So CRM Visible means that it's a specific list that we're going to make available to our Salesforce users to be able to add and remove people from. So we're giving our salespeople the ability to have some access and control into our marketing tools. Really works really nice. Best practice around that is to have some visibility to your CRM, but not every single list. Test list is just for before we launch any emails, we can send test lists to ourselves. So typically that's going to be an internal list that includes people at my organization, or maybe if we're contracting a designer, so we can make sure that everything looks like how we want it to look before we send it out. And now the magic list that I wanted to focus on here a bit is what's called a dynamic list. So what a dynamic list is doing is, rather than it being something that we are adding people to or removing people to manually, it's searching for a set of conditions. And based off of those conditions, it's adding or removing people to this list. So this list is a list called high value customers. And what we're doing on this list is we're setting some conditions. So we have a field that's an account field. So account-based marketing is something that's very important to folks. I'll jump into more detail on this shortly. Anyone who's associated with an account that has a close one revenue. So in our case, that means that they have purchased something from us before, and the amount of all of their opportunities that are closed one added up is greater than $10,000. We're going to call those our high value customers. So what this dynamic list is going to do is say, all right, we're going to find all of those people and we're going to add them to the list. Now, one of the really neat things with Pardot is, from our dynamic lists, we have a whole plethora of things that we can go off of. CRM campaigns, we're going to jump into this more shortly, but if you're using Salesforce campaigns currently, we can automatically add everyone who's part of a Salesforce campaign that might have a particular status, whether they're a lead or a contact, so we can segment our lists based off of leads only or contacts only, if that's something you're doing. We have all of our custom account fields. And then what gets really neat down here too with Pardot, and where you can really get creative, is, let's say, if they have opened any email in the past 5 days, we also want to make sure that they're on here. Or on the inverse, if they have not opened any email, then we want to make sure they're on here. So one of the really cool things that we can do with Pardot, where we really start being able to get creative and automating that personalized journey, is taking this Salesforce data, combining it with these other things that Pardot is tracking. Time is a fun tool. Was created a certain amount of time ago, had a last activity a certain time ago, Google parameters, if they visited certain landing pages, how many times they've received emails, all these things that we can combine creatively in and statements. So if they are this and they've been created greater than 10 days ago, or an or statement, we'll let you guys use your creativity there. And you can also do groups, so sub-statements within those statements. Not going to go ahead and save that there, but that's an idea of a dynamic list. So jumping ahead a little bit here, we're going to take a look at Pardot settings, because one of the other things that we can do in dynamic lists, and it's a question that comes up quite often, is okay, we have a custom object inside of Salesforce that we want to be able to do segmentation off of. Pardot is going to listen to out-of-the-box leads, contacts, accounts, opportunities, campaigns, and campaign membership statuses. But let's say we have something else that we want to sync to. So one of the things that you guys might have set up is something like a payments custom object, a custom object titled payments, or in this case, cases. What you can have at an upgraded cost for plus or included with advanced is what's called custom object integration. And what that looks like is if we go to object and field integration, we have this custom objects here. We can go in and we can add what our custom object is. In this case, we have this cases thing here. And we can say, all right, Pardot, you're also going to be paying attention to this custom object. This is going to be pulling in all of the fields on that custom object. So in this case, this is our case object. And if we wanted to pull in the account, contact, email, maybe engineering, any other data that we're collecting on this custom object, we can grab it using this custom object integration. Now, the key thing to take away is Pardot won't be able to update any of these values, but what we can do is do segmentation off of these values. So to show you what that looks like is we have a dynamic list that says a prospect custom object, case related to the contact. So our case object has a lookup to our contacts. And then anyone in that case that has a status of new is going to be added to this list. So the idea is we're using some of that Salesforce data to build out a dynamic list inside of Pardot based off of everyone who has a case status of new. So as you start thinking about different objects and different things that you might be collecting inside of Pardot or inside of Salesforce, you can create dynamic lists off of those using the Pardot custom object integration. And again, that's an upgraded feature, an update feature, but a nice to have for folks that are looking at that level of account. All right, so the list that we're going to use here is going to be this Spring Special 2020 list. It's CRM visible, so the idea behind this list is we put a campaign out internally and we said, all right, salespeople, get your folks to get on this list. So our sales team is going on there and they're adding people to this list. What we're going to do first is we have a campaign set up, Spring Special 2020 campaign. Now, one of the things that Pardot has done pretty recently, so if you looked at Pardot a few years ago, this wouldn't have existed. What Pardot has done in the direction that they're going is they're leveraging connected campaigns, which means Pardot and Salesforce are going to be using the same campaign record to do their magic and to do their thing. So we've created this campaign here called Spring Special 2020. One of the things that I'm doing to make sure that I'm tracking member statuses, because this is going to be my point for my salespeople to find out who they should be following up with and who they should be working with. And I'm going to be using Pardot to automatically update people's campaign statuses to give my salespeople a lead list to call off of. So what I've done before this call is I've set up some campaign statuses. So sent email is going to be our starting point. Anyone who's received an email is going to be added to this campaign with the status of sent email. And then we have these other stages that represent things that they've done within Pardot. And then I'm going to configure all of my Pardot automations to automatically update people based off of how they're responding to our content. So if they click a link in the email, they're going to be they're going to receive the clicked email status. If they've opened the email, then we're going to call them connected. We have a landing page that we've set up that has a Pardot form on there where they can print a coupon. So if they've gone through that form, we're going to update their status here. And then if they've converted, if they've made a purchase, we're going to update their status with purchase complete. Now, again, just a disclaimer, Pardot will not be able to update opportunity stages or statuses. The idea here is if they do go close one, the salesperson would mark them as sold, and then that's how they would be tracked there. So let's just take a quick look. Now we've ran this, we've ran a simulation of what this looks like. So this would be what our campaign looks like going through some of the automation stuff here. Now for our salespeople, they're going to start out with everyone who clicked the email or printed a coupon. So if Ken works in the morning, he's going to want to be taking a look at all of the clicked emails and printed coupons to know that, hey, I can follow up with Brandon to see if Brandon needs help applying that coupon. If the purchase is complete, I might bypass those. And then for all these sent emails, It's good to know that they're here. It's good to know that these people are receiving information. If there's someone who I've been working with, good to know that they've received an email. But really what I'm going to be looking for is new clicks that come in and new printed coupons that come in. So what we've done is in our organization, our sales and marketing team have gotten together and we said, all right, we're going to be doing this spring special campaign. We're going to have these statuses. As certain things happen, we're going to be directing our salespeople to be following up with all of our clicked emails and our printed coupons. And we're going to be having the automations that we're building out pump people through that. Great. Now let's take a look at how we build out these automations. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to build a landing page for this. Our landing page is already built out. It's our spring special, get to the special deal campaign here. And you can see it's just a nice special with our guy running to the deal. The idea is someone's going to put in their information here, print the coupon. When they redeem the coupon, what they're going to see is a nice little coupon code here. And they would be added to the printed coupon campaign. So the idea, Brandon now has this coupon code. He can go and redeem one of these offers and get this special. So how do we build this? There's a few different ways to do this. We'll just take a walk through the landing page builder. I've got two landing page flavors that I have here that I'm going to take you through an example on both. So the first one is going to be using Pardot's drag and drop landing page builder. So step one, we're going to go in and we're going to give ourselves an internal name, and then we're going to have a title. So a title and description is going to be what people see on the tab. So this is your SEO title. We're going to associate it to our spring special 2020 campaign, and we're going to add a form to it. So we have a form called Spring Special 2020 that's going to be embedded into this page. Now we're ready to build it. So we're going to use this stock template here. We like this highlights with 2-column wide form. And because we're using one of these Pardot stock templates, this is what the builder experience looks like. So we can drag stuff around. We can move where we want things to be located. We can add additional elements up here, add additional image files. We can drag, it's really drag and drop. Very easy, very non-technical users can come in and quickly build out landing pages here. When we like how it looks, we'll go ahead and hit and confirm and save, and then we can have access to our page here. We're not doing vanity URLs because this is a demo org, but a vanity URL would be, rather than being www3linuxsoft.com with this unique identifier, it could be spring offer, for example, something more user-friendly. Now, as an admitted Pardot nerd, I like to have a little bit more control over this stuff. So when I build out my landing pages, what we're going to show now are what we can also set up inside of Pardot. And that are going to be these custom layout templates that we've built out. So I have built out a custom layout template that you saw previously, and it looks like this. So what I do when I build out this template is I'm creating what are called Pardot regions. So for my other marketing team, other people on my marketing team, we've got this design. We don't really want to move away from this design. This meets our branding guidelines. But what my very non-technical users can do is they can go in and they can make changes to this WYSIWYG editor. Maybe we want to add that. So again, very non-technical. I can go in, I can add images, I can make changes. It goes into this editable region. The benefit of doing it this way is if we want to make sure things are mobile friendly, mobile optimized, and just really have control over it, it gives us the ability of doing that without having to have someone really worry about spending the time of where things should be located or moved around. The idea is you have some marketing approved content and information, and we're just giving our team the ability to make quick changes to it without breaking anything. So we've got 2 pages. One of the things that this is available on a advanced edition or plus edition is what's called multivariate testing. Now, because this is a demo org, I can't show it to you, unfortunately, but the idea here is A/B testing for your landing pages. So we have landing page A, that is my custom template, and landing page B, that is the stock template. We can route those to a single URL, serve them out randomly. So half amount of people are going to see landing page A, the other half are going to see landing page B. And then whichever one converts best, we can say, all right, we're going to use landing page B. So moving forward, we're not going to be using any stock templates. We're going to be using our bootstrap templates. That's the idea behind multivariate variate tests there. We'll hop into forms real quick just to review that. So we've got this spring special 2020 form. We go in here, again, we give it a name. We're going to associate it with our Spring Special 2020 campaign. We add these fields. These fields inside of Pardot are going to be mapped to all of our Salesforce fields, so we can give them custom labels. And then on the back end, we've got all of our fields that are mapped and synced with Salesforce. And the idea is, as people are adding their information into here, they're updating their own information or opting into details inside of our Pardot account, and then that gets fed into Salesforce and vice versa. One of the really neat things that you can do with Pardot forms, and I'm sure your AEs, if you've talked to them already, will share this with you, is you have the ability to do what's called progressive profiling. So what progressive profiling does is, if we already know Brandon's first name and last name because it already exists inside of Salesforce, these fields will not show up for that person. So there's a checkbox here that says display even if previously completed. Most of the time we'll leave this unchecked. So if we already know that this is Brandon Walton, we're not going to make Brandon Walton fill that information in anymore. So all Brandon would see is an email field that already has my email in there. I can check the button and get straight to adding that coupon code. One of the really nice features of having everything synced in and synced together. One of the other things to talk about with these Pardot forms, because everything is cookied, if you're using, for example, inside of Salesforce web to lead forms, Pardot forms is a nice upgrade on those, because when that data is submitted, if you're using web to lead forms, one of the things that you'll know about those is they'll always create duplicates. So every time Brandon Walton goes in here and completes another form, it's going to add Brandon as a new record. You have your duplication rules listening to that, and you're doing all of your merging on that end. It's great for some organizations, and you're just getting started, it could be fine. But definitely as you're growing and scaling, one of the benefits that Pardot is going to offer for you, and again, this is going to be across all levels of Pardot, is the fact that because it's all synced up, it'll say if it recognizes that email, rather than creating a duplicate or a copycat, what it's going to do is map to the existing information and then update that existing person. So if you already have a contact in here that completes a Spring Special form, rather than seeing a duplicate and having to track that somewhere else, you'll be able to see that your contact redeemed that form. Look and feel, so you can get very, very customizable with this. You can add, if you're really fancy and you're into coding and custom stuff like that, you can add JavaScript, jQuery to make your forms very fancy. We're going to be doing something really simple. Print your coupon, print your coupon. So the button's going to say print your coupon, and then that's what they're going to see when they go to the form. If you remember back to our landing page, our Spring Special landing page, just click the button, get to the form. And then the next thing that we'll show is our completion actions. So right here, we've got the thank you content. So for our campaign that we're running here, we're just going to put that coupon code in the thank you content. We don't have this set up, but if we did want to use a Google conversion tracking or some other conversion tracking tool that we want to only have fire when that form is successful, we can add it here as well. We have the ability to also redirect to another URL. So if you already have an existing process that you want to send people to, you can check this box here and say, send us to the Linux soft thank you page, and it'll route them to that location. The fun stuff is down below, the completion actions that we can do. So remember, we said that we are training our sales team and our salespeople to be looking for different campaign statuses. The completion action that we're having here is if someone goes here and completes this offer to sign up for a coupon, we are adding them to our Spring Special 2020 campaign with the status of printed coupon. So the idea is every time one of these Pardot forms gets created, our salespeople aren't very good fishermen. We have to send them the information. We have to put it right in front of their face. So we're going to put it right in front of their face with a printed coupon so they know this is your hot list. Here's who you're following up with. We know you like calling from your A's to your Z's. That's fine, but we're going to give you the hot A's, the A's that are engaging with us, so you can focus on what's going to get you your money. And what we're also going to be doing is if these are folks that already exist inside of our CRM, we're also going to send a task. We're going to create a task to our CRM owner. So if that's Ken, who's working with Brandon, Ken's going to get a task inside of Salesforce that says, hey, your prospect printed a coupon, please follow up. Ken's going to be receiving these tasks that are going to be due one day from today. And that gives him another reminder to say, hey, let me get on this person. Let me help him redeem that coupon. Tons of other stuff that you can add. Completion actions inside of Pardot in general allow us to do a lot of different automation outside of what you guys are all probably thinking when you think of Pardot, which is a thing called an engagement studio. I think it's really important to understand that there's a lot of different places and ways that we can automate things inside of Pardot. And again, this kind of feature that I'm showing you right now, this is core Pardot functionality. One of the things that you're going to be getting across the board, growth plus advanced, available to everyone. Things we can do, add to campaign, that's what we showed up above. We can add them to a list. We can either increase or lower a score. A score is going to be a number that we use to determine how interested someone is with us. So the idea is the higher a score, the more interested they are, the lower the score, maybe they're not as hot. We can use Salesforce active assignment rules. So if these are new leads that are coming in and you have an assignment rule that's based off of everyone whose last name is Walton gets routed to Ken Stouffer, whatever that assignment rule might be, Pardot can activate those assignment rules, which is really nice. We can manually assign to a user if you don't have any active assignment rules. Maybe you're a smaller team and you're just saying, anytime someone redeems this coupon, assign them to Ken. We can update field values. So neat thing about Pardot is Pardot does have the ability to update lead and contact records. So if Brandon comes in here, you can say lead status is now working, for example, because he's raised his hand. So we can't update fields that we do have mapped and synced. Obviously create tasks and some of these other things that we can do, including send an autoresponder email, some of that basic functionality. So this looks good. We're feeling good about our form. We've got a form on a landing page. We've got both of these things set up to update our campaign status. We're feeling really good so far. Now, the next thing that we want to do, well, let's go over some of these features and then we'll jump into what a Pardot email would do. And what I want to talk about specifically is this custom redirect. Custom redirects are what I think is an unsung hero inside of Pardot. What I love about custom redirects is regardless of the type of account that you're on, you get unlimited of these. And what they are is it allows you to create a special URL. Now, if you've worked with this, you're probably very familiar with these. You'll get something that comes from us that'll give you some information. And what it actually allows us to do is track that action. And so let's take a look. This example is really easy. So if someone goes to this URL, they're going to go to the Cypress Learning homepage. In reality, this might be we want to send them to a special offer page or a special location on our site. One, we're allowed to track the clicks. And two, we're able to do our fun completion actions down below as well. So the idea is you can use as many of these custom redirects as possible. And again, we have our completion actions down here below. These work really nicely if you're going to be doing things like having an email with multiple links inside of them. Maybe you have an offer where there's 3 offers. You can add a custom redirect to those 3 different offers and then have completion actions take place. So you might have like your whammy, where if someone goes there, you definitely want to notify the salesperson. Using custom redirects is a great way to do that. Probably one of my favorite unsung heroes. I can't say that enough. Dynamic content is an upgrade feature that's available on Plus and Advanced. And what dynamic content does that's really neat is it gives us an extra piece of JavaScript that we can use alongside our Pardot tracking code. And what this JavaScript allows us to do is it's listening to our Pardot information, and we can set some conditions for the type of content that we want to serve. So in this example, we have some default content where this is going to exist on a landing page. This is going to say, hi, welcome to Linux. Now, if we know who this person is, and this person has a score that's greater than 40, so a Pardot score greater than 40, we're going to serve a custom message that says, hi, we're happy to see you again. So the person who hops on that page, they're going to see this special message with Einstein here that says, hey, great to see you again. One of the other neat things that you can do with dynamic content is you can say, hi, use a merge field. First name, so we can say, hi, Brandon. Welcome back, we're happy to see you again. And then we have this other variation down here below. If their score is between 5 and 39, where would you like to go today? So the idea is based off of the data that we have inside of the CRM, we can serve this custom content with dynamic content. Go ahead and hit save there. Snippets is a new addition. Where snippets are going to live is they are going to live alongside your campaign. So this is really neat. And what this allows you to do is this is something that we're going to make available to our campaign users. I'll open a new tab there, so I'll show you where that lives on the campaign record. And the idea is, and you'd use this careful when you use it, but you can give a sales operations person the ability to have a snippet that they're going to add to an email. We'll show you this when we jump into the email steps specifically, but the idea is you can have a snippet that has a value. It could be a string of text, a date, an image, or a link that we're going to feed to our Pardot emails from like a campaign is where I like to have these live. Just jumping ahead here, just showing you everything inside of the content tab. You can store and load content inside of Pardot, so you can store your image files here and use those on emails, so like our email headers. One of the things that's really neat is a specific type of file for PDFs inside of Pardot. A cool trick that you can do with all levels of Pardot is have completion actions happen when a PDF is downloaded. So if someone goes and downloads a PDF, I can add them to a list, I can add them to a CRM campaign, send them an autoresponder email, create a task, so on and so forth. So Pardot can store file information, and if it is a PDF, you can have completion actions happen on that file information. Final thing to show on this page, there's some other stuff here, but just key takeaways. Available on all levels of Pardot is social media posting, where I typically use a social media posting. I don't have any connector set up with this development org, is to really correspond with our email activity that we're doing. So if I'm going to be doing a spring special campaign, I might do something like in the middle of this email campaign that's going out, doing some occasional posts to LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook, letting people know that the campaign is going on, maybe routing people back to that landing page. So the idea is if someone's getting that email, they might see that email. We're also going to be doing some posting to our social channels. So if someone happens to go to our social channel, they'll see that post about that campaign as well. And our hope is to link them in there also. All right, so we've got our content set up. Going back to our marketing job that we're doing here. Next thing that we want to do is set them up in an email. So what we're going to do is we're going to create an email template. We've already got one started. We're calling this a get to the deal. We have an emoji in our email here. The tracker domain is our demo domain. We have our GIF inside of here. So I will say there's a lot that I've gone through just in the email marketing space. What I've found works really, really well is personalization. If you're building out emails, my 2 cents would be to keep the HTML relatively simple, because different mail clients will render stuff very differently. I'd say it doesn't matter whether you're using Pardot or anything out there. What does work well, if you're going to be using images, the GIFs or GIFs, regardless of what side of the aisle you send them for that, do work well in email. So I've seen people do really neat things with like countdowns that are GIFs, or cheers or toasts or messages. Those seem to work really, really well. And here we have our guy running to our call to action right here. And then down below, you can see we have the recipient first name. This is our personalization. This is that snippet I was telling you about. So this snippet is going to allow at a campaign level us to very quickly say, you know, 1 day left, 2 days left, 3 days left, whatever campaign level messaging that we want to control from some central place without having to necessarily log in and edit or update the email itself. A really neat feature of campaigns. So we've got our email here. To get our thing started, what we're going to do is just do a scheduled email. So in doing my scheduled email, I'm going to queue up a new list email. So inside of Pardot, we've got different flavors of sending emails. We've got those autoresponder emails. Someone completes a form, they're going to receive an email. We've got list emails. So this list email, the idea is we're going to call this Spring Special 2020. We're going to associate it with our Spring Special campaign. And then one of the things, this is an upgraded feature, and this is A/B testing. Now, if you're looking at growth, you could still do A/B testing by just creating 2 different versions of the same email. But what this enhanced feature is going to do for us is give us the ability to, from our list email builder, start working on an A version and a B version. So we can change some things around here. Maybe on version A, we're going to see, you know, are the emoticons or the emojis really helping drive more engagement, or are they not? So we're just going to do a very simple test. Version A is going to be a plain text. Version B is going to have this hand waving at folks. Then we're going to go to our sending tab. Inside of Pardot, sending emails is very easy. We're going to send this to our Spring 2020 folks. Lets us know this is going to go out to 23 people. We can also add suppression lists, which is very helpful. So we're going to suppress any customer that has a new case open, any customer that's already a high value customer. And so we're going to suppress those people from this list. So if they're on these two lists, they will not receive this email. We can also change our sending, who our sending from is for our A and B. So maybe version A comes from Maddie A, or Maddie we'll call her, and then sender B comes from Matt. So we want to test, do people want to engage more with Maddie or Matt? We can also change what the reply tos go to. In this case, the reply tos are all going to go to the account owner. If there's no account owner, it'll go to the assigned user. If there's no assigned user, then they're going to go to me. And then we're going to run our A/B test. So we're going to say our test we're going to run for 4 hours, and whichever email gets the most click, whether it's A or B, that's what we're going to choose as the winner. And you can see we've got this slide here. So we're going to test 50% of this list. So what you'll see up here above is that means 11 people are going to receive email A or email B at random. Whichever email after 4 hours gets the most clicks, the remaining 10 people are going to receive either A or B, depending on which one does better. This is A/B testing. It's available with Plus or Advanced. And with Growth, what you'll do is you'd actually create 2 different emails, send them separately, see which one does better. Now, what is available with all levels of Pardot is you have the ability to either schedule these to go out. So we might say, we don't want to send these out until Thursday at 10:42 a.m. So we're going to schedule them, or we can just send them right now, where the idea is you hit this button, we're ready to go. We're going to fire off those emails right away. Again, the ability to send list emails is going to be something that you have the ability to do on all levels of Pardot. One of the cool things with Pardot is you do have the ability to send unlimited emails. So if we go back to my page here, my Pardot settings, go to account settings, you can see we have the ability to send unlimited emails. We have 10,000 mailable prospects that we can send those to. And you can see at any given time inside of Pardot, if you're using Pardot today, you're planning on using it, you can go to this account settings and see all the things that are going to be unlimited versus what are things that you might have some limits on. So things like the amount of automation rules, landing pages, those are going to be things that you might start looking at upgrading. If you know right away you're going to need to be doing more than 50 landing pages, you might want to look at one of the larger programs. All right, so we've got our email set up, we've got our content set up. Question that came in, can you send emails based on the user's time zones? So emailing can be set on one time zone, unfortunately, but really what we're looking to do with Pardot is set up as much automation as possible. And we'll show you what that's going to look like here. So what we're going to look at next is this Engagement Studio program. So we're going to go into this Engagement Studio. And what the Engagement Studio is going to do is similar to what we did with our list email. We're going to start with folks who are members of a list. So in this case, we have the Spring Special 2020 list. Now we're going to have our salespeople inside of Salesforce adding people to this list. Now what this Engagement Studio is going to do is add these, as these people are added to this list, they're going to start going down this flow. They're going to start going down this process. Where this works really nicely is doing this if you're really looking to automate things. Doing an Engagement Studio to a dynamic list works really, really nicely. Then you can have someone who every time, for example, a case goes to a status of solved, or customer satisfaction is 10, for example, going off of a custom field, automatically add them to this Engagement Studio campaign. And what the Engagement Studio campaign is going to do is allow us to build out a stream, an automation stream, or a journey, some people call them, or a nurture campaign, some people call them, that people are going to go through, that our prospects are going to go through, and based off of how they're doing things, they're going to go down a one path or another path. So one of the controls that we have, to get back to the question that was asked, is how we control when things get released. So one of the things that you can do, and I've seen people do this, is we could split this out into a Spring 2020 special East Coast and a Spring 2020 special West Coast. Copy things over. We can select a time zone that our Engagement Studio is going to run from. And we can say this Engagement Studio is going to run Tuesdays and Thursdays from 10 to 4 p.m. Pacific time. We can also do when that's going to be Eastern time. So that gives you the ability to get around some of the limitations of not sending on the user time zone by using Engagement Studio to route people to the specific studios that are using their time zones there. So hopefully that's helpful for you. And then allowing folks to re-enter the program more than once. So do we want to have this be one of these things that people can continually cycle through, or should this be an engagement studio where once a customer goes through, or a prospect, sorry, goes through here, they'll never re-roll through it. Depending on what you're doing the engagement studio for, it's a nice setting to have. For this one, we definitely want to give people the ability to get our coupon and buy from us as often as possible. So we're going to allow people to go through as often as we want. We're going to apply a tag. So a tag inside of Salesforce is just a flag that we can add. It lives in Pardot only. And what it does is allows us to see at a very quick glance, all right, who are all of our prospects inside of Pardot that have this Spring 2020 Pardot engagement tag. And then if we needed to aggregate all of those people somehow and see who's all on that list, we can use, we can search, filter different lists inside of Pardot based off of who has this tag. Then we're going to send the get to the deal email. So this is our get to the deal email. They're going to get that email. We're going to add them to our campaign with the status of sent email. So the idea, people get added to this list. They're going to get the email. They're going to get an update to that Salesforce campaign that lets us know that the email has been sent. We're going to put a listener to see, did they click on the link in the email? If they do click on the link of the email, we're going to move them over to this side, update their CRM status to click email. If they didn't, we're going to say, all right, if they're still on this, after a few days, if they're still on this list and they still only have sent email, then we're going to send them another email. We're going to remove the tag. We might have some additional stuff flow down here. But if we get to this point and they have purchased something, if they don't have this status, then we're just going to end it there. Going down this side, we're going to wait a few days to see if they've clicked the email or not. So we're still going to give them some time to see if they've still clicked the email or not. If they have not, we're going to check to see if they purchased complete, or we're going to go down this path to send an email. So this is just a rough draft of starting of things, but what I wanted to show you here is just this flow of getting an email, updating a CRM status, looking for a link, click. Did they click on it? Did they not? If they clicked on it, updating something inside of the campaign. If they didn't, sending them on another path. And now let's go back to where we started. Let's take a look at the campaign. And let's go over some of the cool stuff that we can do with our campaign now. So one of the nice things about campaigns just in general with Salesforce is you've got campaign influence, and that will allow us to understand which campaigns are driving sales. So we can see this deal got attributed to the campaign. You can see our Pardot snippet is existing down here. And hopefully going back to the campaign member status after going through that, how these people are receiving these statuses is making a bit more sense. One of the other things to show you, and this will be the last thing that I review, is all of the reporting and tracking that we can do on this campaign. So now that it's launched, we can see who are all of our campaign members and what are they doing. So we've got this nice little dashboard here, again, demo org. So this, if we were really doing this, we'd probably want to see more activity more recently, but demo org, it is what it is. And now what's nice about this is, let's say our salespeople wanted to have more information on who these members are. They can go down through this list and they can see, all right, Brandon has been visiting that website quite a bit. So maybe Brandon is the guy that I want to go after. Ken seems to be active. Patricia seems to have been doing some things. So this gives our CRM users the ability to have some nice reporting about how Pardot stuff is working and access that inside of Salesforce. One last thing to show you that I think is really, really neat. This was released towards the tail end of last year. And what they've actually done, and this is something I haven't seen any other marketing automation platform do, is when you turn on the engagement history inside of the sync between Pardot and Salesforce, all of your Pardot assets that are associated with this connected campaign are going to show up in this campaign. So these are actually custom objects inside of Salesforce. What this means is you can go and build custom Salesforce reports using this Pardot data without having to do a bunch of our own development work. This is something that I haven't seen any other platform do, and I think this is really cool. So our landing pages that are associated with Spring Special 2020 campaign are inside of here, and we can see the insights directly inside of Salesforce. We haven't sent any list emails, again, demo org, but if the list emails are in here, we'd be able to see how many people received them, how many people opened, how many people clicked. This is our custom redirect. We can see how many people clicked through there, and our marketing forms. So we can start using this data and insight on our reporting inside of Salesforce to build out reports without even having to leverage Pardot at all. We can pull that all inside of Salesforce and mix and match it into our dashboards. And you can see here too, and this is nice for all levels of Pardot, is you can use this engagement history tab, and you can see on this landing page all the people who have interacted with this landing page. So to recap, we are doing our Spring 20 campaign. We started out by segmenting those people into lists. We used a dynamic list for that. We created a landing page. When people went to that landing page, completed that form, we were updating the campaign status. From there, we wanted to send a list email out to everyone. We sent an A/B test of that list email to everybody on our marketing list. Based off of them clicking through that link, we updated their CRM status to a status of clicked link. And now we're sending our salespeople to this campaign object here to follow up and do their sales activities. That's what I have for the presentation. What I'll do is we'll open it up for any questions.
Brandon, so we do have another question here about Salesforce Engage. Can you please tell us a bit about Salesforce Engage and how people are using that?
Yeah, so Salesforce Engage, actually we use it. If you give me a second, I'll pull up something that I can share with the team with our Salesforce Engage. What Salesforce Engage is one, think of it as a Gmail or an Outlook add-on that puts Pardot inside of Outlook or Gmail. So it's a plugin that allows you to, one moment, to send Pardot emails directly from your Salesforce account. Now let's see here. I've got a Ken Stouffer record that I can use. And so you can see here on the side, the Salesforce Engage thing, it's loading. Probably doesn't like that I'm logging into a bunch of different Pardot accounts. But the idea here is we'd be able to see Ken Stouffer's information. It's not going to like me right now because I'm logged into a demo account. This is connected to our live account. But what it does is it allow you to see a prospect's information, the activity thing, the last activities that they've done inside of Pardot, and then it'll also allow you to, from Gmail, send a Pardot email specifically to that person. So I can be inside of Gmail. I can have access to those Pardot marketing templates rather than having to retype emails every single time. If I'm a salesperson, I can just grab a marketing template and email it to someone.
Great. Another question that we have is how hard is it to set up and use Pardot?
Yep, I'm biased, probably like asking someone who plays basketball to shoot a free throw, just because I've done them quite often. I'm very familiar and intimate with the tool. I would say if you're familiar with using marketing automation platforms in the past, and you're familiar with setting up that kind of thing. So one of the things that Pardot does that you'll get with Pardot is Pardot is its own email service. So one of the things that Pardot is built on is the fact that it does have its own mail server. So one of the things that you do, again, in this demo org we don't have set up, is you'll go through an authentication step. And I think that's the biggest thing, because if you're using Gmail or using Outlook or using something different, you'll still be using that for your emails that you're sending directly to people. What Pardot is actually going to do is send these emails from its own server that allows you to send unlimited emails every single month. So it's making sure that that stuff is set up. If you have experience with that, you'll probably be okay. If you have experience with setting up like tracking codes on your website, you'll probably be okay with that. The other thing that we do is making sure that the integration is set up for a business. That's one of the things that we do as an implementation customer or as an implementation provider. So if you're well-versed with Salesforce administration and adding App Exchange apps and things like that, and you're familiar with the technical steps of just email marketing, you might be okay to do that on your own. One of the things that we do, obviously, Ken, is we set that stuff up for people, and we're pretty well versed in the kind of troubleshooting that might come up if something happens. So I would say it's relatively easy, but I'm going to say that with a bias because I do it a lot.
Very good. Well, we're right up against the end of our time here, so I want to take this opportunity to thank everybody for joining us today. We have recorded this session, and we'll be making that available at some point in the near future. If you have any additional questions about getting set up with or making changes to your instance for Salesforce or Pardot, please make sure you're reaching out to your Salesforce and Pardot account executives to answer those questions for you. Of course, you can always reach us here at cypresslearning.com or me directly, Ken, at cypresslearning.com, if you have any questions about implementation packages, or what that might look like for your timeline or for your business. Thanks again for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.